Hey, everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
Let's do that again. Not quite my tempo. Hey, everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And today we are talking about the 2014 movie Whiplash. This is a film that Devin picked out that I've had on the list for a long time now, but he beat me to it, so it's his pick now. All right, well, let's get into the show. Let's start off with what we watched. This past weekend was the Emmy Awards. The Television Academy of Arts and Sciences gave away their awards this weekend, and I watched it because I wanted Ted Lasso to win. And Ted Lasso did pretty good, but there's something that I need to tell you guys that happened at these Emmys that stole the show for me. And if this person's not hosting for the rest of their lives, then something is wrong with the Emmys. So Conan O'Brien was there.
Okay.
And
Nice.
he was nominated for Best Talk or Variety Show.
Sure.
Lost to John Oliver.
Oh, good.
John Oliver got up and was like, I like everyone else here, I was kind of rooting for Conan because 30 years of comedy. Like, Conan just ended his talk show.
Yeah.
Conan O'Brien went into the Emmys not giving two shits about anything.
Nice.
When the president of the Academy came out, Conan O'Brien stood up and just started saluting him to the point where everyone in the audience stood up and like joined him.
What?
Yeah. Like he was cheering him off to the side, and the guy's like, "Thanks, Conan." Like he just did not care at all. And then when Colbert Show won for their election special, Conan O'Brien jumped up out of his chair and went up on stage with the Colbert writers and Stephen Colbert just cheering like, yeah! Like he just did not care. He was just so happy to be there. He did not care at all. I don't know if it was something because of like the Norm Macdonald thing last week or what got into him, but it wasn't like a Conan O'Brien that I've seen. But I want to live the rest of my life not caring, just like Conan O'Brien, like just living in the moment, not giving a crap about what anyone else thinks about what I'm doing. Like I want Conan O'Brien to be my spirit animal. I mean, I don't quite have the pompadour yet, but
I'm hoping you're growing out. I'm hoping that's what this is.
Yep. Well, Halloween's coming up, so.
I love that. Is he doing anything after his show ends?
He has, and he's going to be doing specials on HBO Max.
Okay.
And he's going to keep doing his podcast. Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend.
It's a good podcast.
It's a great podcast. I don't think he had Norm Macdonald on, but if he did, I would definitely go back and listen to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. It really is.
Devin, how about you? Did you watch anything?
I watched a lot of documentaries, the only one of which I actually want to talk about. And the documentary I want to talk about was Monty Python's Almost the Truth, The Lawyer's Cut. Which is their, like, it's on Netflix over here. I have no idea if it's made it over there yet. I found it completely by happenstance because I was like, I want to watch something. I don't know what I'm in the mood for. And it just chronicles the history of Monty Python and the movies and the shows and how they met and how they got started. And it's wonderful. It's really good and really insightful. It has really great like people talking about it, like the Stephen Merchant who shows up, Russell Brand, Dan Aykroyd, like a lot of like really great comedians talking about like how Monty Python like affected them and what their favorite sketches were. And it made me want, like, after I watched the documentary, I went back and like rewatched some old episodes of Flying Circus just because like I forgot how like wonderful and subversive and like genuinely smart some of the sketches were beyond just the whole like Ministry of Silly Walks. Like some of their other stuff is so clever and like I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I love watching the Flying Circus every now and then. My two favorite sketches I like to go to is The Funniest Joke in the World, where they use the funniest joke translated into German to like win World War II. and the one with I don't think it's a ministry, but a guy goes in to pay to have an argument, and he ends up going into like the first one where it's like abuse. Like,
Yeah.
I love the wordplay and just poking fun at like even the English language the way they see it over there. Like, I love that humor, and that's what they're best at.
Do you have a favorite sketch of theirs, Ryan or Alan?
I like the Lumberjack song.
The Lumberjack song's great. I
it is
didn't
great.
know. I knew the Lumberjack song insularly as the song. I didn't know it was part of a much longer sketch where like someone's trying to get out of cutting someone's hair while that person's sitting down to get their hair cut.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. I love that.
I didn't know that either. Monty Python is one of those things I'm not huge into, and I haven't seen everything. I've seen Holy Grail and I've seen Spam a lot. I haven't really seen.
I'm very
much
jealous
else.
you've seen Spam a lot, by the way. I still haven't.
Yeah, I saw Spam a lot on our high school's dime.
Oh, that's so cool. Nope, definitely not me.
Yeah, that was the year after you graduated.
Oh, that makes sense. They did all the when my class got the opportunity to do it, we were gonna go see Mamma Mia, and I'm not an ABBA fan, so I was like, I'll pass.
You know, it's funny you brought up ABBA because I have a weird ABBA story to tell you, and I hope he doesn't care that I'm telling this on the podcast. So the other week, I was driving home on the highway, and I got the urge to just listen to ABBA. I was like, I don't know why, but I'm in like an ABBA kind of mood, so I put on ABBA on my phone. The next day, my brother and I are going to see Shang-Chi, and he has me go through his phone to find music, and he's like, don't judge me. I was on an ABBA kick last night and was just jamming out to ABBA on the way home. I'm like, what the hell? I did the same thing, and we were both like freaked out. Like, why did this happen to both of us? So that's something that actually happened and is a completely true story because we were both like, this is weird.
That's wonderful. You guys know the ABBA news, right?
That they're releasing a new album.
They're releasing a new album, and they're going back on tour as holograms.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like setting up like a special dome in London just for their holograms. It's going to be wonderful. Ryan's not sold. I'm doing it. I'm going.
Led Zeppelin in their prime as holograms. That would be cool because I know the music won't get screwed up because they're playing it straight off the album.
Right.
But I wouldn't pay a normal ticket price for that. Like, they better be discounted tickets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're sold out several months in advance already because we looked for tickets.
Yeah.
They are recordings of their voices, but there is a live band backing them. So there is an aspect of live to it, but it's still like the holograms are recorded and the timing for everything has to be perfect or it all messes up.
Okay, so the closest thing I have to that is my mom took me when I was 14 to go see the Beach Boys at Music Fest in Bethlehem.
Oh.
One Beach Boy.
The
rest of it...
Beach Boy.
Yeah, and then...
And it was John Stamos.
He was there with them, him. John Stamos was the celebrity guest that was playing there.
That's cool.
With them.
He plays with the Beach Boys a lot.
Oh, okay. I didn't didn't know how. Yeah. Like, I was like, oh, Alan made a joke, but yeah, no, that's true.
No, he's an honorary Beach Boy.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I watched. All of that.
Ryan went to a baseball game, so he didn't watch anything.
Yeah, I mean, the guy in front of me was watching a lot of football games. That was actually kind of funny. Like, the guy sitting like 2 rows in front of me, which there wasn't anybody sitting directly in front of.
I feel like Major League Baseball has to have some rule or clause against that.
No,
but it was fun.
Which game was it?
Oh, we went Yeah, we went to go see the Washington Nationals play the Colorado Rockies on Sunday.
Oh, cool.
Which, I mean, it was a day game, so it was nice because the sun was at an angle where almost all of the seats were in the shade, and it was like 72 degrees out the whole game. It was perfect. It's like
That sounds great.
I watched the Penn State whiteout game from home on Saturday, and Penn State won, and it was awesome.
Did you at least day drink / tailgate in your parking lot before it?
I did not. I'm sorry. I just realized the poster that I pulled for this is in French. Oh well, it's just the reviews anyway. So
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about Whiplash, which is Devin's pick for this week's movie.
Love that.
So I'm going to let Devin take point now while I get over the embarrassment of pulling a French poster.
Bonjour. That's all I got for French, by the way. Bonjour. So today's
Croissant.
movie is the 2014 movie Whiplash. It's directed by Damien Chazelle and stars Miles Teller, J.K. Simmons, and Superwoman. I didn't know that.
Melissa Benoist. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know that was her until someone pointed out that it was her.
2 years before she's Supergirl.
Oh wow! See, I didn't know that. Oh, it's Supergirl, not woman.
Yeah. No.
I hate Trump. Sorry about that.
There was a whole thing about that when the first trailer for that show came out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because do you remember back when Age of Ultron came out, Scarlett Johansson did a Black Widow movie SNL comedy trailer?
Yes.
The first trailer for Supergirl made the show look like it was that Black Widow movie. And then like in the first episode, they Cat Grant, played by Ally McBeal, what's her name? Calista Flockhart has this whole speech about why it's okay to be a girl, and like a whole big speech like justifying the term Supergirl.
Oh.
Which was good in context. I'm not doing it justice, but they I don't know if there is a Superwoman.
I was waiting for it to be like, Superwoman's my mother. I'm Supergirl. And then she throws her ponytail back or something. Guess not.
No. Sadly.
But anyway, so this movie essentially is about a struggling jazz musician who runs into I'm going to call him harsh, very lightly, director or jazz instructor. And chaos ensues is basically what happens. That is not doing the movie justice. I want to get into a lot of the beats of this. I picked this specifically because there's a part of the movie that I really wanted to talk about with anyone since I saw it. I saw this movie along with Stardust and I forget it's a comedy movie on a plane ride from the UK to America, became obsessed with each one of the 3 movies, even though I can't remember one of their names, and have not stopped bugging Romana to watch these 3 movies so we can freaking talk about them. So I have someone to talk about these movies with, and hey, I have a podcast and can hold you 2 captive, so I'm going to talk about this stupid movie with somebody now. So, Alan, I think you've seen the movie already before, right?
Yes, I have seen the movie before. I saw this back when it came out on DVD right before the Oscars. So I watched it back in like late 2014, early 2015, and was just amazed at J.K. Simmons' performance. He's so off the wall, crazy in this. And he's such a great character actor that it was really good to see him in the spotlight for once, like as a lead. I have a lot of thoughts revisiting this. I've listened to the soundtrack a lot. I have it on my playlist, so it comes through like randomly. Whiplash came on, like the song Whiplash came on my way home from work today. So,
oh, that's cool. It's meant to be.
And then I have a kind of personal connection to this movie that I'll get into later.
Good. Does it involve Mr. B? Certain Mr. B?
No. It involves a different Mr. B. not the one that you
interesting.
and I had. So the joke on the podcast for the longest time has been Devin and I are going to get our high school band director on to talk about a movie, and this was going to be it. Because every time I tell him we want to have you on the show and we're going to do Whiplash, he gives me like a look, and he picked another film, and we're going to try to have him on here soon. But that was
cool.
I
didn't know he actually picked another one.
Oh yeah, he picked another one, and I'm really excited to talk about this one because it's one I haven't seen. But it's right up our alleys. Now I have a weird connection to this movie that we'll talk about later.
Good. So Ryan, this was your first time seeing the movie, I think?
Yep.
So give me thoughts, give me emotions, give me feelings. I want to know. I want to know all of it.
Okay. I saw the trailer before I actually watched it, and I thought I was going to hate this movie. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh my god, this is great. I wish I was a musician so I could appreciate this more. And that's pretty much where I landed on it.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see the guy, was it Simmons? Yeah. It was really cool to see him play the character that he plays in this. I do have my own thoughts and beliefs on music teaching, even though the only music experience I have is playing the violin in 5th grade and being in orchestra in 6th grade.
Okay.
But I have my own thoughts on like artistic, like teaching of the arts per se, because I was an art student, but more like graphic design and drawing. So it's different, different medium, but I still have my own beliefs about the way you teach art. And I feel like this is going to be a great discussion.
Good. Good. Well, let me touch on a bit of that then, because one of the things that kind of drew me to this movie was the response that I keep seeing online to the movie. And it's either, this is a great movie, this is interesting, or J.K. Simmons is a cartoonish Bond villain masquerading as a jazz instructor, and nobody in the world acts like this. It's almost laughable how mean he is. Did you guys get that impression from him? What did you think?
Ryan, you go first because I have a lot to say about that.
Okay. Well, I did find the freakouts entertaining. I did laugh through parts of it because I couldn't believe some of the things that was coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
But, and this is where I wish I was more of a musician and trained musician to better appreciate this. Is because, yes, sometimes people need to be pushed in that manner. There's a reason why the military has boot camp set up the way that they do. And it's to push people beyond their limits that they think is possible. Some people need that kind of push, but then other people, when they get that kind of push, they will turn their back and they'll walk away. So it's really hit or miss on whether or not you as a student line up with a teacher correctly. And I feel like this is one of those times where, kind of bury where I'm going with this. This is one of the few times where an extreme teaching method lines up with the right student.
Okay. Let me put a baby pin in that, and then we'll talk about that a little bit later, because that's something that I really want to get into then.
Yeah.
Alan, what are your thoughts?
Okay. So I come into this movie knowing that it's based on true events. My connection to this, not getting choked up, I just got a weird frog in my throat at that time.
It's me. I was the guy.
Yeah. The band director that this is based on was the director at the school my uncle currently teaches at in that position. He's the one who directs the studio band for that school now.
Wow.
So back when this film came out, Damien Chazelle is I believe an alumni of this school. I'm not going to say what school it is, just because, but they would do screenings. They had him come, they had like, concerts and screenings and Q&As at the school for this film when it came out. So I'm sure there's a lot of exaggeration in this, but having been in the high school band, with directors who took their job seriously. Like Devin and I were in high school band together, and I will go out and say our directors were some of the best teachers we had. At least I had, and they were fun to be around, but they meant business when it came to the music. Not to this extreme. There would be times when we got yelled at because we were being dicks. But
me more so.
we had, like, in hindsight, we had it coming. But like they always took the music seriously, and I can see this as the extreme version of that.
So it's not then cartoonish for you then. It's just something taken to the nth degree then, like.
Yeah, it's just so, like, I can see why people would say it's cartoonish because I can see why people would say that, but for me it's not. Like, I can see how it, like, having the experiences that I have and being in going to these jazz competitions, because we never really went to jazz competitions with our band, but with my uncle teaching, I had the opportunity to go to a few of them when I was in high school. So we went to ones in the area where he teaches, and then there was a big one in Boston that they went to every year. I got to go to that. So being around these bands that are very competitive and like so precise, I think is the word I'm looking for. Like, I buy it. Like, I've been in that world enough that this movie makes complete sense to me.
Well, so then, Ryan, have you ever been in a situation where, I mean, maybe it's not music, maybe it's, you did archery, right? Or you did
rifle,
right? Like, did any of your teachers, any of your coaches, were they ever, like, anywhere similar to this?
No, because the team I was on at the school that I was on, we sucked. So we had like the most laid back coach. But okay, so for people that might be shocked, like high school rifle, yes, the high school that I went to, I graduated 2005. Supposed to graduate anyway. Long story. 2005. We were city kids, and the only schools that still had rifle teams in the area were all in the Poconos. So we're dealing with kids who are in NRA actual, youth leagues and shoot at 100 yards when we were shooting at 50. So we got our butts kicked every single weekend. But I know from those other teams, I saw a rifle coach literally ring out a kid because he didn't shoot a 10 spot on 10 straight targets like he was supposed to. He shot 2 10 spots and a 9, meaning he got 9 bullseyes out of 10, and that 10th was measured by like a little pin you put into the paper to see where, like what lines it breaks, and he got ringed. I overheard it, and it sounded kind of like this without the expletives. Wow. So I do know that these people are out there, and they do exist.
Well, and so the more I think about this movie, because this is one of those movies that, like, I watched and it got under my skin for a bit, because there's a couple parts of it that, like, especially get me, right? One of the parts that got me the most and got me thinking about it is I'm not entirely sure that the movie is about jazz. I think jazz is the vehicle through which you're seeing some of the big motives from the characters, but I think one of the things that it's trying to show is what singular obsession could lead to. And I think that both J.K. Simmons and, oh my goodness, I can't remember his name.
Miles Teller.
Miles Teller's character both show what singular obsession could lead to kind of on each end of the spectrum. And one of the scenes that stuck out to me, I think, the most with that was when Miles Teller's character broke up with, I think her name's Nicole, I think it's her character name, broke up with his girlfriend, literally, like, because eventually he'll need to take time away from his drumming, or take time from her, like, to do his drumming, and then she'll get resentful, and, like, he needs to be solely focused on drumming, so he can't, like, that's crazy to me. And I struggle with how the movie frames it. Like, is the movie framing do you guys think his singular obsession with drumming as something that should be emulated? Or is it just saying, wow, look at how far he's taking it, and it ends well because it's a movie and has to, but you're supposed to be as shocked as I was when he broke up with his girlfriend for almost no reason?
See, to me, that didn't really affect me that much,
Okay.
because I feel like people would bet like this kid knew what he wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and he knew that he needed to dedicate 100% of his time out of class to practicing for this jazz band.
Mm-hmm.
And he was doing this in the goal of becoming one of the greatest jazz drummers of all time. So he had the forethought of, I don't really want to deny this girl the possibility of having a real loving relationship that she's going to enjoy. She's not going to get that with me. So I need to break this off now. He made that choice and he went with it because there's athletes that are pro athletes that have done stuff like this.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
So I don't think everything he does in this movie is selfish. Like it's to pursue this dream that has like such a small chance of happening, and I don't think this movie has a happy ending.
Don't you?
Like no, it's not a happy ending. He's given himself over completely to this dream. Like he doesn't even want, at the end of the movie he turns away from his father and goes back to the drums and is like, no, watch what I can do, and like gives it everything and just surrenders himself. Like it's not a happy ending. Like that's why this movie has stuck with me for so long. It's not a happy ending. He gives over to the obsession, and like him breaking up with his girlfriend, like is such a selfish act. And I think when he calls her later on,
Yeah.
like you, if you don't feel bad if you want the, like when he says like, I want this to end, I want to end this now so you don't get hurt later. Like he doesn't care if she gets hurt or not. He wants the drum. He doesn't care about her at all.
Right.
And then when he gives up drumming for a minute and tries to go back with her, and she's with somebody else, he's like, oh, well then I guess I'm gonna go back into drumming, at least try it, and then gets pushed in even more. It's like an addiction to him.
Right.
I think the ending of this movie is just tragic. Like I don't like anyone in this movie at all. There's no one in this film that I like. I don't like Miles Teller. I don't like the J.K. Simmons teacher. Fletcher is a dick. Melissa Benoist is fine, but
She's fine.
they don't really give her much to do besides serve popcorn. And then Paul Reiser, like it's bad enough that you're putting raisinets in popcorn, but like he's so like he's so two-faced because he's like trying to encourage his son to like in his music, but at the same time like making underhanded comments at the dinner table about his education in pursuing music. That it's like, which one do you want? You can't do both. And I just like, I didn't like anyone in this movie. Like the only one that I like, the only one I can really get behind is Fletcher, because at the end of the day, he's trying to get the best out of his students. I don't agree with his methods, but he's just trying to get the best performances out of his students. Like his motivation is there, but the way he goes about it and like his selfishness, like my band, my way, like I don't like that. But yeah, I don't like anyone in this movie.
So when it comes to that aspect of things, the selfishness of it, the reason why I didn't have the same reaction that Alan did, is because I had to come, as a sports fan, the way that I am, I had to come to a realization at one point in that I want the most cockiest SOB players on the teams I root for, because those are the ones who at the end of the day are going to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go into any type of profession where it's not academic, well, even some academic fields you have to, but
Mm-hmm.
majority of it, it's all arts and physical. These people who are the best in the world at what they do have horrible private lives.
I didn't know that.
I mean, when it comes to like, some of them come from good families. Some of
Mm-hmm.
them come from families like he did, where
Mm-hmm.
they don't really see his accomplishments on the same level as those two others,
Yeah.
with the athletic and the academic. In fact, I love the one line where he was like, "It's Division III football. The NFL is
Right.
not going to come calling." Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you've got these two kids who are, yes, good at what they're doing, but they're not world class, where you have another kid at the table who is world class,
Yeah.
and they're overshadowing his accomplishments as just, oh, you're drumming.
Right. You're just
I was
drumming, and
getting
that's all it
mad
is.
for him. I was getting mad for him. Like, you got to be kidding me. Like, he is sacrificing his hands. He is sacrificing his romantic lives, his romantic life in pursuit for what he wants, which to me, it is a tragedy at the end of this, but there's a part of me that can't help but feel like he did it. He finally got to the point where he's showing what he can do, to where he might become one of the best in the world. And so it's one of those things where it's like, good, he got his dream. He completely killed the rest of his life, but he got his dream.
Oh, I think the film implies that the path he started himself on doesn't end well because
Yeah.
of the other student. Like, I get what you're saying with he sacrificed his relationship. He sacrificed, like, but at the same time, like, I don't buy that it was a hard choice for him. Like, I think he wanted what he wanted, and I don't really know if I consider that a sacrifice. Like, giving up a relationship so you can just do drums. Like, I feel like if it were to be an actual sacrifice for me, he'd have to be actually more emotionally invested in anything outside of the drumming, and I just don't see that for him at all.
Well, and I'd say part of it is his performance in it, because he, like, when he has to make an emotional choice about anything, he is so almost robotic about it. And that's such an interesting choice to make. Like, he could have been sobbing trying to break up with his girlfriend, but instead he almost isn't even looking at her. He's almost looking past her, saying these words that he's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Would you say he's a sociopath?
I didn't. Maybe. But honestly, maybe.
I mean, for him to have the obsessiveness that he has, and for him to literally drum until his hands split apart, I mean, that was a lot of blood. I mean, I know that that's for show, but I mean, like, him practicing and the amount of blood on the drums and everything from him just doing the rhythm over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
There's a compulsive issue there. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. And he could also have a number of other issues wrong with him for have him to be as robotic as he was too. When it came to have, just to have a singular focus on it. I mean, even asking out his, 1 week span girlfriend, he was very robotic about that too. Like, he was just like, I need to do this to get to my goal.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, I've met people in college like that, and I mean, that have that kind of ego on them, where they're like, okay, I know for a fact that I'm going to contribute to, I don't know, the world of physics, right? I know I'll be a famous physicist someday. This is just my stepping stone to get to that. And they're not famous physicists today. And I mean, maybe it's a little bit of Schadenfreude, but when somebody comes at me with that kind of stuff, I'm like, no, you're not, and I hope you don't. Like, and maybe it's jealousy on my end, because I'll never be the best at anything, but like, I don't know. It's I hate when people are like that.
I mean, I went to film school. You know how many people I went to school with who were like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go win an Oscar." Um, Now they live in Allentown in a retirement village.
So dang it, Chad.
Friend of the show, Chad.
I had, but at the same time, like I said before about athletes, you don't get to that level without that attitude.
Right.
And it's when you start getting up into like you go to college and then there's postgraduate and then you've got your master's and doctorate or whatever else you need to do in your field to become the best of the best. It all begins with that attitude, and you need it. And that's why I said before, like, would it bother me if every single player on the St. Louis Cardinals was a complete D-bag? No. If they win a World Series, no.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to me because I know that those attitudes occasionally go with the greatness. And but now the thing is, when it comes to this movie and that teaching method, that's a whole different bag of worms.
Well,
no, like what you're saying, like, yes, I get that. Like, you do have to have a certain mindset to reach a certain point in whatever chosen field you go in, whether it's music or sports. Yeah. I think my thing is, I don't want to watch a whole 2-hour movie about a guy who has that mindset and doesn't evolve at all. Like, he doesn't change. Like, his viewpoint doesn't change at all. The only thing that changes for him is he goes from having relationships outside of music to not having those. And to me, like, that's just horrible. That's like if I only did the podcast and did nothing else.
Well, for you, that's the tragedy of the movie. Is like at the end, he gets the spotlight that he wants. He gets his time to be the world's best drummer that he wants, but at what cost? Yeah. Like all of those like real costs in it, and I think that's interesting.
That's actually something I thought when the movie ended. I was just like I was thinking about it. And I'm like, well, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, right. But really,
because,
though,
I mean, because was it even during dinner? I think his mom or stepmom or somebody says, do you really want to end up like him, drunk, alone, and on heroin or something like that? And he said, yes, I do, if it means being this. And that's what he did. That's exactly what he wants. He wants to be the best no matter what it costs him. And
it's going to end up costing him his life.
It is going to end up, yeah, he's going to get a splinter. It's going to get infected. He's not going to go to the hospital because he thinks he needs to practice. And before you know it, he's going to lose his hand. And then he's going to do something awful because he can't drum. And then he's going to wind up being another speech in some other jazz room.
You've absolutely thought about this. That makes me incredibly happy.
I just said that just right now.
Well, there is another part of the ending of this that I don't think we really touched on, and there's that moment where Fletcher looks at him and smiles. Like, there is a moment.
Thank you. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
There is a moment of recognition there where he at least acknowledges that he's impressed, which I don't think you really see throughout the rest of anything before that. So part of me wonders if going forward that their mentor-mentee relationship continues, but the dynamics changed a bit.
I think
100%, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think it changed. They definitely become, I wouldn't say friends, but I would definitely say that he turns into what Fetcher wants him to be, which is the next great, or, like in that realm. And so it's more like there's, it's still, teacher student, but it's more at a peer level than it was before.
Or he becomes like more of his manager type is almost what I see. He's like, he's not necessarily teaching him. He's more like, okay, great. We know we have this great drummer. It's a great musician. Where can I get him with my contacts?
Yeah. that's just like, I like rock music, and it kind of hurt me a little bit when I saw that quote on the wall. That's, like, if you don't make it, you'll end up being a drummer in a rock band. That kind of made me hurt a little bit,
Yeah.
because I know some great drummers who have played rock music, but this is jazz we're talking about, and that's on a different level. So,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things where, like, that last solo he did, I'm listening to it and I'm like, Travis Barker can probably do this, but I'm not sure. Like, Travis, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, holy cow, that was good.
So while we're talking about Fletcher and while we're talking about the last scene, I wanted to get your guys' read on something, and this is something that I am struggling with this movie just personally. So the last scene, he does what he does. He does the great drum solo. There's that look that Fletcher gives him of like, yeah, and then there's that look that that Miles Teller has where he's like, I'm happy now. Is the movie excusing J.K. Simmons being a terrible, terrible person and saying, look, we understand that his methods were terrible. We understand that somebody, committed suicide because of it. We understand that these are, really bad methods, but it worked. Yeah. And is it giving J.K. Simmons a pass?
It worked once.
Right.
Yeah, because he even said himself that, nope. Sorry, I just had a kitten try to jump on my lap.
A cat just threw a chair at you.
Come here.
No, I think it's just saying that it worked once with him, and that's it. Because Ryan.
So it's not like an ends justify the means thing at the end at all. Like,
I mean, a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. So I said before that this extreme teaching that they show in this, that he does, there are some people out there that this works on. A lot of people it doesn't. And Fletcher even said that he hasn't come across any greats yet, and that he pushes the way he does because he wants to get, that greatness out of his students, which in one hand kind of makes sense because we're talking about a jazz band at supposedly the best music school in the country that this is supposed to be set at. So I get where he's coming from, but he's using a net. The teaching method. Let's take the teaching method is a net. He's using a net that's only big enough to catch like one specific type of fish.
Right.
And that's it. And all of the other fish in the ocean that might be greats too are swimming either right through it or swimming around it, and he's hoping to get one fish out of a billion. And that's what he did. He ran into one student that worked with that teaching method because he was as obsessive as he was, because that's something that I realized throughout this movie.
Oh yeah.
Is that after the car accident and that whole fiasco, I was thinking to myself, he's turning into Fletcher. He's turning into Fletcher. But at the same time, he was Fletcher to begin with. Because if dealing with Fletcher,
obsession.
Yeah, because if dealing with Fletcher brought that out in him, it meant that it was already there to begin with.
Yeah.
So that's why it worked, because they were the same people. They were just at two different ends of the spectrum. I was halfway expecting this to be a time travel movie, and he was going to like revert himself, like a Rick and Morty thing.
I'll give it to Fletcher though. Like, his manipulation of his students is almost, it's pretty much genius. Like, that moment where he like stops in the hallway, like, just have fun, and like gets to know him for a little bit, and then uses everything he learned in that conversation to attack him and belittle him. It's like, damn, that's some good psychological warfare.
It's practiced. Yeah. Like, it's terrible.
Well, that, and he told him exactly what he was going to do, because he told him the story about the drummer getting the cymbal thrown at his head. And that's pretty much what he did with a chair. So
yeah.
I
think what scares me the most about it is knowing that yes, this is taken to an extreme. There's probably real people in the world that are like Fletcher, though.
Oh, I guarantee it.
And those people are probably sitting there going, well, I'll catch my fish. I'll catch my fish. I'll catch my fish. These other people aren't worth it in my eyes. And like in catching that one fish, how much damage did he actually do? And I do love the movie for showing that he is actually hurting himself trying to do this and other people.
It's like going to the fish hatchery with a grenade, throwing it in, and then getting one fish.
Right, getting one. And you're like, I got my fish.
Yeah. And then you've got every other fish is floating belly up.
Yeah. Anything else on Whiplash before we... I've got some lighter stuff to talk about.
I'm pumped for the lighter stuff. I mean, really, that was all I wanted to talk about. Was I wanted to talk about the ending and the teaching methods. That really got me, and I wanted to know.
All right. So, Ryan?
Well, I just wanted to say that one of the reasons why I was kind of like, oh, this is interesting, and I love the movie for the fact that it shows obsession. Like, this movie uses jazz to show what an obsession is, like what Alan was saying when we started. I knew about this type of leadership / teaching method when I was a kid. There was a guy, I don't care, I don't know his name, so I don't really care about talking, so I don't have any issues talking about this. My dad ran x-ray departments at hospitals for a while, and he had a somebody that would do night shift when he wasn't at the hospital. That was at his same level, his same management level. But what he would do, what he thought was the correct way to make people working their best all the time, is he would randomly, once a month, pick one person who was walking down the hallway and pretty much berate them for about 5 minutes in front of everybody else about how horrible of a job they were doing, mistakes that they've done that month, and he would just tear them down to where they were crying. My dad was on the other end of the spectrum. My dad, when somebody was having a birthday, would go and get like the sparkling apple cider bottles that looked like champagne, and he'd bring them in. He'd buy like a case and bring them in, and the whole department would have like, apple cider champagne at their desks. So there were two different sides of a coin when it came to, like that type of a thing. And the productivity, there was no difference between the work productivity between my dad's crew and his crew. And I know this because my dad was talking about it one night because he had his review, and they brought this up. And they were like, well, we're not going to do anything about what he's doing because his people are working just as good as yours. So why should we say anything about it?
Wow.
So when I saw this, I was like, oh, Fetcher's that guy my dad worked with for a while.
Oh, that's gross. Yeah, I don't... It's just a type of management style and a type of, I mean, manipulation, essentially, that I don't love. I just don't love.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
All right, now on to the lighter stuff.
Yes.
So this film was nominated for 5 Oscars and won 3. Can you guys guess which 3 it won?
Most profanity.
That's not an Oscar.
It should be. It should be.
My guess is supporting actor of some sort, because J.K. Simmons had to have won something for
J.K.
this.
Simmons won for supporting actor in a supporting role. And I remember watching the Oscars the year he won this because Neil Patrick Harris was hosting.
Yeah.
So J.K. Simmons won, and then it cuts to Neil Patrick Harris introducing the next presenter. And Neil Patrick Harris is on stage and he does, he won an Oscar. Bum ba dum bum 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 bum.
Oh my God, those commercials are that old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh man.
It also won for achievement in film editing, achievement in sound mixing, was nominated for Best Motion Picture of the Year and Adapted Screenplay, because this is based on a short film, also starring J.K. Simmons as Fletcher.
What's the short film called?
Whiplash.
Oh, I didn't know.
Damien Chazelle made Whiplash a short film and then used that to get funding to make a feature film. Like, he always wanted to do the feature, but he was able to get money to do a short film and then make the feature later on.
Well, found the short film. Guess what I'm watching after this podcast?
I was going to try to watch it for this. I just never had a chance to. So in other lighter news, if you head over to our Facebook and Instagram pages, we have, 5 memes from this
Something
movie that
like
we
that,
made.
yeah.
From different J.K. Simmons quotes that all kind of work with that picture.
Yeah.
My favorite being the yellow M&M, because I don't know if you guys know this. J.K. Simmons is the voice of the yellow M&M.
I genuinely didn't know that.
Yeah, he has been since the 90s.
That makes me happy.
Him and Billy West. That's why the one is no, this is an envelope. Like that's where
I was wondering what that was.
That's the yellow M&M from that commercial that you see in front of the movies all the time.
I love that.
For the last 15 years. So you can head over to our Facebook and Instagram to check those out. I had a lot of fun making those last night as I was watching the movie.
Oh, good. That probably made it so much lighter.
But other than that, I don't really think I have anything else for Whiplash.
No, I'm good.
We have an exciting show next week.
Yes, we do.
Because I've never seen the Addams Family movies, like any of them. So we're gonna go through and visit the live action Addams Family movies from the 90s. So the Addams Family and the Family Values.
Yep.
In honor of the Addams Family 2, the animated sequel coming to theaters next week. And then after that, Devin will be off for his wedding, but Ryan and I, and maybe a guest, I'm not sure yet, we'll be talking about Venom, Let There Be Carnage the following week. So
good luck, guys. Oh,
I'm going to see it twice. So
I'm telling you right now, I'm not expecting anything from this movie, so I'm probably not going to be disappointed.
I'm not either, but I'm excited. I'm excited for the Addams Family though too.
Yeah, me too.
But it's going to be a good time. So until next time, you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. If you're watching us here on Twitch, hit that follow button. And stay tuned tonight on Twitch because I think we're going to be hosting Victims and Villains because they're going live in about an hour to talk about My Girl, one of Ryan's favorite movies to make memes about.
I've never seen it, so the memes don't make any sense to me.
Oh.
Hashtag B movie.
Sure.
Have you seen B movie?
No, I haven't even seen B movie.
Oh man.
I think we missed the internet's craze on B movie. I don't think we need to worry about B movie anymore.
No, we don't. I think old Devin needs to do is watch that YouTube video where it's B movie, but it's sped up twice every time the word B is mentioned.
I'm sure I'll get the plot.
It's Jerry Seinfeld as a bee. I'm a bee. That's the movie.
That's pretty much what it is.
Anyway,
nonetheless.
Anyway, you can you can listen to us on all major podcasting platforms. And until next time, for You Have to Watch This Podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And again, not my tempo, guys. We got to take it from the top.